I get it. Like, I get what the film is about. But the thing that makes me so annoyed is we start off really, really strong with these characters, and as we progress, Tashi falls so flat. The reason I'm wearing this shirt, I'm obviously in a sporty mood. So I'm going to be talking about challengers today while I dye my hair. I needed some sort of hook for this video. And I have thoughts on the movie. I saw it twice. I never wanted to see it, but I did see it twice. Oh, my dye. Last time I dyed my hair, I used henna, which means I can no longer bleach it again because apparently it'll turn my hair green. My friend told me that. I didn't think to double check it because why would she lie to me? Anyways, so I'm gonna be using... Let me figure this out first. Have these thoughts so often I have to revisit that thought with that one spot. Somebody's phone like already not just sit in silence. I guess I don't need this for the mixing part. I don't know why I spent so long doing that. I'd like to put a disclaimer out that I was accused of not liking this film because I'm a lesbian. And to that response I say, is there no other reason you were watching this film than to lust after these three very beautiful characters? I'd like to think not. I'm better than that. Which is why I feel like I can come at it from a very objective perspective. Okay, let's start from the beginning of the movie. I came into the movie believing that I was gonna like it just fine. I'm not a huge sports person, so I wasn't exactly gung-ho about the topic, but I like the director's previous work. The film starts and I am like, okay, interesting. There's obviously tension between the characters Tashi and Art, and I can't wait to delve into why. And there's a lot of timeline jumping, so forgive me if I get some of these time-related things incorrect. We start off, we see them when they're older, and then we go back into when they're young and super, excited about life. They have a vivacious energy that can only come with your youth. I loved it. I loved their dynamic. I loved the way we were setting up these characters' personalities, Art being kind of this pushover. He's not as talented as his friend. Tashi, very intense right from the jump. You can tell she loves tennis. She compares it even to what does she say? She says tennis is like it's like you're in love or like you're making love, which is an analogy that carries on till the end of the film where there's a climax and it's supposed to be so symbolic. Is that a word? It's supposed to symbolize the intense dichotomy between the relationships, playing tennis and being in love. I get it. Like, I get what the film is about, but the thing that makes me so annoyed is we start off really, really strong with these characters, and as we progress, Tashi falls so flat while the boys just become stronger in terms of their development, their acting. We just understand why they've gotten from one place to another. And I feel like Tashi, the things that happened to her in her past, dilute her character, not in a way that's like portrayed especially strongly. It's not like she's beaten down by what's happened to her. She just feels very inconvenienced by the whole thing. The main thing I feel like that changes about her the older she gets is her hair gets shorter. Which is really disappointing because I absolutely loved young Tashi. She was full of so much energy. I was interested in her motives. When she meets the boys and then goes over to their place at night, and we see the whole sexy kissing scene play out. the moment where she leans back and is watching them, I'm like, oh, okay, what are we about to get into? Like, what does this girl want? What is it that she desires? Why is she doing any of this? And I'm really just not satisfied with the idea that it's because she just likes dynamics, which is a take that I've heard a couple times. The lengths she goes to do certain things and have certain things go a certain way feels like it wouldn't be very inspired if it was just like, I want to see how this all plays out. Like, what is the point? I'm much more fascinated by the idea and fact that she loves tennis. Like, that is her one true love. I wish that, like, after her injury, I wish we could have seen more of like a breakdown. We see her get sad, and I understand that she's tough and she picks up and she kind of just like puts all her energy in living vicariously through art, but again, that's not enough for me. Like, she could have done that in another way. I guess he was an easy target. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna convince myself otherwise while making this video, but I just wanted more. I wanted a little bit more focus on her. Like, I think that it was meant to be a movie about the three of them, not just the boys. Like, yes, she comes in and interrupts their their relationship, and turns into a home wrecker by proxy. And why does anything happen after that? It feels like Tashi is puppeteering, but she's a puppeteer with no goals. And then, like, the kid, right? If her biggest love is tennis, why even have a child? Like, I feel like she wouldn't have had a kid with him. It feels very antithetical to her and everything I would think she's trying to do and everything she wants. None of it makes sense. It's just not very fleshed out to me. Visually, there's a lot of really cool things happening, really cool camera stuff. Seeing a lot of triangle formations throughout the film, the cool perspective from the ball scene, but the story itself is not that rock solid to me. I'm doing this so poorly. I'm just throwing this wherever. Oh my goodness, this is a mess. I actually think at the end of the day, my biggest problem with the movie is really just Tashi. I love the boys. I thought they were fantastic. I loved how sexually charged a lot of their relationship was. They obviously deeply cared for each other. Whether or not that was in a romantic way doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned. But I feel like Tashi's character just was not handled very well. Like, who was she? Who was she? Hoping and praying this comes off my hands. Everything Tashi did made sense up until what point? Let me think. After the injury, that made sense. Her kind of practicing with art, keeping up in touch with art more. Her and Patrick had a nasty breakup. That all made sense. What didn't make sense to me was her kissing Art in the first place.
I'm re-recording this because I don't think I explained myself very well in the video. But the reason I don't think it makes very much sense that Tashi kisses Art after her injury, after she breaks up with Patrick, not the first time during their little threesome scene. When she kisses Art, after it's been a couple of years, it is painted as a very sort of vulnerable moment. And I don't think it's supposed to be. I think, we have this undercurrent, this reminder throughout the film that Tashi is manipulative, but it's not consistent. So when she does have these moments where she's supposed to be manipulative, it doesn't read as manipulative at all. Her puppet mastering and her puppeteering over the two boys doesn't make any sense to me. I keep saying this, but because what is the goal that she wants? She wants to coach Art. So she kisses him so that she could get that in and live through him. She didn't have to do that. She could have just coached him. I don't know. There are just, to me, other ways to be involved with tennis, but maybe this was just right there. If that is the reason, I guess what I'm saying is it's not strong enough. Or at least it wasn't portrayed strong enough. And I would have liked a little bit more of that man-eater energy that we saw in the trailer.
And then in the ending, during their final match together, it's super intense, super dynamic. I personally was a little bit bored. There's just so many shots of tennis. I get it. That's what the movie's about. That's not an actual critique. This is just me being a hater. When, they like get to the point where they're hugging and it's supposed to be this sweet moment and Tashi does her scream, what does that mean? Someone I talked to said it was supposed to be like, oh yeah, she got what she wanted. She got a really good game of tennis. Okay. We can't just say that's all, like, that's what she has wanted this entire time. She could have gotten that. And a lot of, maybe, but maybe the reason she hadn't been getting it, or the reason this was so good, is because it was kind of built up over the years. Like, she knew the tension that was between them. Is that what that means? That's still not enough for me. It's like, you can't plan for this. You can't plan to ruin their relationship so that one day they would come back in this tension-filled game of tennis, vying for your attention and approval, and ultimately leading to the best game of tennis ever. Like, there's no way she could have planned for that. So again, no, I won't accept it. It just doesn't make any sense. I actually am open to liking this movie. I watched it twice and I didn't like it. I just didn't. I tried to, but I was bored. And I wanted more information. Thought there was gonna be a threesome. Why in the world were people like there were people who were like boycotting this movie because they thought there was gonna be a threesome, and then they thought it was like supporting or like endorsing polyamory. Oh, where did they even get that idea from? Did they just guess because of the trailer? The boys kiss once. There's no sex scenes, not really. Like, there is kind of, but it's not a threesome and it's not explicit. So everyone is actually so dramatic and needs to calm down. Someone convinced me that this movie is actually amazing and that I don't know what I'm talking about. No one has been able to do it yet. Maybe you can. Maybe you're the special one. The chosen one. I'm doing this in the absolute worst way possible. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Also, is this gonna be brown? I don't feel like it's gonna be brown. I don't wanna be the reason why. Realizing I actually have nothing else to say about this movie, so I guess rant over. Because everyone who disagrees with me thinks I just don't get the film. And I do get it. I think it just didn't play out well is my problem. Like, it's interesting on its own as an idea, but the way it plays out, I just feel like I'm being told what happens instead of being led to feel what happens. Anytime Tashi says her line, I'm like, oh, she's cruel because the line she said is cruel, not because the way she said it made me feel like she was cruel, you know what I mean? And that's what the entire film feels like. It's just like, oh, this happens because of this. Like, I'm just being told the story. But I think because of how flat she falls to me, it makes the decisions the boys make also feel very not grounded in something that makes sense. Like, Art's devotion to her feels strange to me because I'm like, she's not even that scary. Like, stand up. Oh, here's another thing. The sexual tension, right? Because that's like
supposed to be such like a big part of this whole thing is that there's so much sexual tension between everybody, and this is the one aspect of the film where I will concede to the idea that maybe my lesbianism uh, doesn't have the capacity to fully understand what people are talking about. Lesbianism and also like borderline asexuality. Not really, but I don't find sex all that interesting sometimes. And I felt like the sexual tension between these three characters was not palpable. Was palpable in the beginning. At least between the boys and their feelings for Tashi, but yeah, not the more it progressed, the less I felt that. That whole car scene, I think, is supposed to be this really sexy moment where it's just like they're overcome with emotions and desire for one another, and I did not feel that whatsoever. Not even slightly did I feel that. Like, I knew it was coming because the story was going in that direction. Like, this is what I'm saying. I didn't feel any of this stuff. It all just was like happening at me. This feels good. I feel okay about this. I'm gonna leave this in for 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna shower. I'm gonna shave. I may or may not come back. That's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say. But yeah, genuinely so curious if you've watched Challengers. What are your thoughts? Do you feel the same way? Am I being dramatic? Let me know. Okay, I'm gonna go figure this out. Bye.
Your honey water wine, you make me warm inside.